Giddy up. Let's do this. G'day tool fans, welcome back to another tools and stuff review here on YouTube. Now, if this is your first time, welcome, thanks for stopping by. Please consider hitting that like button because it helps me make more videos for you guys. Today we're looking at the M12 18 gauge Brad Nailer. If you want to know more about M12 tools, you want to see more reviews, take a look down in the description. There'll be a whole bunch of them down there, previous reviews I've done of M12 tools. And if you're interested in nail guns in general, I compared all of the Milwaukee ones, much more than what's on here at the moment. And they are down there in the description as well, all the M12 ones, including staplers. There's the narrow crown stapler there on the end, and also the fencing stapler. They're all in videos down there in the description. Some of them may even be up here in the top corner. Now, when it comes to nailers, PPE is very important, like most power tools, but one thing in particular, goggles, glasses, safety glasses. Make sure you are wearing some sort of eye protection when you are using a nailer, particularly these thin nailers, these 18 gauge, 16 gauge nailers. They very easily fire off in weird directions and can go all over the place. If you haven't got the tip quite down, it can easily just bend and fire off. And I've got an interesting story about that. If you don't want to listen to my little anecdote, feel free to jump to the next chapter down below. But when I was a kid, my old man, he was a carpenter. And he also made like letterboxes and work desks and stuff on the side, and he had a factory. And one day I was down at the factory with him, and he was using a narrow gauge, narrow crown stapler like that one, but a pneumatic one. Didn't have battery ones back in those days. And he's stapling away, making a letterbox or some shit. And boom, something goes wrong, and he walks over to my grandfather and asks him for a hand. And I've got an image burned in my head of my old man standing there with a staple up through his bottom lip, through his cigarette and into his top lip. Perfectly stapled his ciggy into his mouth, and it just kept burning away there while my grandfather looked for a pair of pliers to pull this staple out of my old man's face. So I've always been a little bit wary of these things. So make sure you're wearing glasses because, yeah, it doesn't matter too much if it goes through your lip. But if it goes into your eyeball, you're in big trouble. Also, if you don't like the vibrations of these things, gloves can help. So consider some gloves, particularly ones with padded palms and stuff, so the vibration isn't going through to you. Because, yeah, it may not seem much to begin with, but it adds up over time, and your joints will thank you for it later in life. Right, let's get into it. What is so special about this particular tool? Well, look how small it is. It's 12 volt. How cool is that? We're now getting 12 volt nailers. Wouldn't it be great to have a little nailer like this size that could fire framing nails? Wouldn't that be awesome? Or even just a range of nailers this size that could do up to like the 16 gauge or even 15 gauge. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, this particular one, it's kind of heavy still. It's sort of very heavy in this particular area. You can feel it sort of weighs you down a little bit when you're holding it. It wants to pull down like that. But being much smaller, you're going to be able to get into tighter spaces with it. Let's have a look at the features. Down here we have a light. Haven't checked where that shines, but it kind of looks like it shines in not quite the right place. If you get a jam, you've got an easy... Shouldn't have done that with with nails in the magazine. I've been using this thing, so yeah, that wasn't too bright. Always release that before you release your nail unjamming mechanism. So anyway, nice and easy to get to. Have a look, get your nail out if it's jammed. Hook it back on. Hook it back on. Easy. Got a belt hook, as you can see, which you can flip around and stick on the other side if so desired. Got a couple of extra nose pieces here, 3 in total. You obviously have a trigger, and down the bottom here, in a place that's awkward for YouTube filming, you can see here the operation of the tool. Turn it on, hold your finger on there for a few seconds, Then you'll get one light come up here on the side for single nail, so that is full actuation mode. So flip it over, you need to push the tip down, pull the trigger, push the tip down, pull the trigger. And if we look at the other mode there, push the mode button for a few seconds, it jumps over to bump fire mode, where you can just hold your finger down on the trigger and go bang, 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 bang. Also in this area we have a battery gauge, so when the battery's getting low you'll light up in this region just here. And on the other side we have a temperature gauge. If it's too cold to actually use the tool, it'll light up blue. If it's too hot to use the tool, it'll light up red. Now I don't know if that'll ever work in this part of the world where I live, because the operating range of this according to Milwaukee is -17 to +51 degrees Celsius, and it's never really going to get to those temperatures here. Maybe I could trigger the heat one if it's sitting out in the sun on a roof, that sort of thing, heating up for a while before you used it. And if you're using it a lot, it might get hot as well, but it's never going to get down to -17 degrees. It will never get down to minus anything degrees Celsius in this part of the world where I live. But maybe I'll test that by chucking it in the freezer. In fact, our freezer I think only goes down to -15. So but I'm guessing the blue light's going to come on before it gets down to that -17 cut-off operating temperature anyway. But who knows? You'll have to wait and see if I get around to doing that. Now this nailer takes nails from 15mm to 38mm, or about 5/8 of an inch to 1.5 inches, and they are 18 gauge nails, which is 1.2mm in width. Little small ones like this. These ones here are 20mm, and they go in by opening your magazine like so. Very easy. Slides open, chuck your nails in, put the bottom in, and then just slide it back up. Easy peasy. This area in the magazine, come out you bugger, will take up to 110 nails. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention there's a battery gauge down here, so when your tool's turned on, pull the trigger, you'll see light up with the 4 lights there, saying that our 2.5 amp hour high output battery is freshly charged. Right, who wants to go see this thing fire some nails? We'll go see if we can put it through some hardwood and stuff, eh? See how deep we can fire this thing. If you want to see it up against the 18 volt version, there we go for size. Not a huge amount smaller, but definitely smaller. Much nicer in this area than the 18 volt, which sort of bulges out the side. This one is more in line with the tool, which is nice. You can see there, much narrower, better for getting into tight spaces. Yeah, cute little tool, but has it got the punch? Let's go find out. Now when it comes to noise, I haven't got earmuffs on at the moment. Doesn't seem too bad out here in the open. But if you're in a confined space, might be a bit loud, particularly if you're doing it for a long period of time. Microphone up against it. That might be blowing out the mic, I don't know. Just doing 20mm nails here at the moment. Let's bung it on the rapid fire, bump fire, tip actuation, whatever you want to call it mode. And let's see how we go with that. Okay, I'm going to do the speed test here, see how quick it can go. As you can see, not super quick. Having to stop every second nail is all it's firing. So let's see what the real pace is. So that speed's okay. Any faster, and you're going to miss every second nail. Now we're almost out of nails by the looks. You can see here. Let's see if it stops before it blows them all out. Right, we are now locked out. Let's see how many we've got left, if any. 3 left. That's quite a good amount. Some of them leave way too many, so that's cool. Anyway, that's going to be kind of a bastard to get back in there though. Let's try some 38mm nails, and then we'll see if we can fit in the elusive 40mm. So it would seem I don't actually have any 38mm 18 gauge brad nails at the moment. So I've got some 32s in here. Let's see how that goes. They're firing super deep still, just firing into pine at the moment. Nice and deep. Are we on the deeper setting? Yes, we are. Okay, easy peasy. Let's now see if we can fit in some 40mm brads. This is going to be pushing it. Nope, don't physically fit. Can't get them in the top there. Well, let's see how we go with 32s again then, in some hardwood, eh? First up, I'll just show you what the striker leaves in your timber. Leaving quite a big mark where the striker hits quite wide over the head of the nail. So if you don't want to be doing a ton of filling, make sure you dial in your depth setting just right. Hardwood time. Right, we'll start off with some woods for the Aussies and the Kiwis. Some Vitex here first. 32mm, no problem at all. We're on the full depth setting and those are going in good and proper. Next up, what about some Aqua? I'll fire that into the bit of Vitex so it doesn't stick to my bench here. No bother at all. Bump fire's not super quick compared to some other nailers. Right, what about some Jarrah? Hey, getting hardcore now. More nails in might help. They are all sunk in there good and proper. What about some other common materials, hardwoods? I don't know how many people are firing 18 gauge nails into hardwood, but it's a good test for the tool. What about some Quila, or what do they call it in Australia? Merbau? Is it Merbau? Something like that. So, Quila. Too easy. Too easy. What about something for our American viewers? Bit of cedar. It's going to go through that piece of piss in it. Just blowing through that. Look how deep that is. You can't even see where they are. The nail heads are so deep. Big striker marks though, unfortunately. But like I say, back it off to whatever suits. Okay, something for the palms. How about some oak, some old oak. Ooh, forgive me for what I'm about to do. No bother at all. Right, what about this stuff? This stuff is evil. This is a bamboo composite. Absolutely blunts everything. Drill bits, saw blades, horrible stuff to use. Let's see how it goes with this. I've had problems trying to put nails into this before with a different brad nailer. Oh-ho! Wow, look at that. Power to burn. So, when it comes to hardwood, doesn't look like it's going to be much of a problem for this thing. She's a powerful little unit. How's the light? Yeah. Not the greatest. I haven't found a nail gun that has a great light yet. Not that I'm usually nailing in the dark, to be honest. Right, what about weight? Let's try the M18 without a battery and no nails in it. And we're coming in at 2.5 kgs, just over 2.5 kgs. And now the M12 with a battery on it, the 2.5 high output, and magazine full of nails, just over 2.1 kgs. If you don't know what kgs are, bung some measurements up here for you, eh? So by the time you put a battery on the 18 volt, you're going to be over 3 kgs. This one, not too much, over 2. So much nicer, easier to handle, and of course, easier to get into those tighter spaces. I want to see how good it is now though at firing through a few other things, seeing as it did so well with all that hardwood and stuff. Let's take a look at a few other things, eh? How about some nice shiny blinding me ACM into Vitex. Piece of cake. This is just, can't find anything that's hard for it. What about some nylon? This is going to be pretty tough. What do you reckon? This is pretty solid stuff. Let's see what happens. You kidding me? Look at that, no problem at all. What about some metal, eh? Can this thing go through some metal? Just trying to find anything that'll stop it now. What about this shower base? Now, as you can see, having a little bit of trouble there, and this is what I talk about with nails, how they can bend and skew off. These ones have gone through, but still bent somehow. Very interesting, and one of them has actually gone through, that last one didn't come all the way through, it's gone through the skin of this fiberglass here. That's really weird. Brad nails do weird things. Always wear your safety gear. Okay, we're getting to that kids don't try this at home kind of section of the video, it feels like. So this is some alley flashing. Not a problem at all. How far can I go? Got some steel here now. I don't know what gauge it is. Be about 23, something like that. If this goes through, I'm going to be well impressed. Look away. Ah! Should have had the glove on that hand, not this hand. Didn't quite work. It actually did go through, but half of it has snapped off and fired out and got me. And the other half, as you can see, has gone through. I won't try that again because I don't want to tempt fate. Well, that's pretty damn impressive. Oh, one thing I haven't checked. What say you've gone to the effort of making something out of Lego and you don't want it falling apart on you? Well, I guess you could just nail it down. Now, see, those bricks aren't coming off now. Nice and secure. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I mean, that's not ideal, but I should have checked that that lintel was secure before I tried that one. Putting a big nail through above a doorway was a little bit silly. Don't know what happened there. Whole thing exploded on me. Better attach this to the board so it doesn't go anywhere. It's better. It's quite cool that it stands up as well on either battery size. The ones with the extra base here, or the ones that are just the standard little 2 and 2.5s. One of those. Stands up perfectly fine with either one of them, which is nice. What don't I like about this thing? There's always something I don't like about tools. But this one I am struggling a little bit, to be fair. Yeah, the grip and the trigger is not the nicest, but you know, for Milwaukee that's pretty standard. Yeah, it's a good little tool. I can't find too much wrong with it. This is the sort of tool I've been wanting for a long time. I know a lot of you are maybe going to be a bit upset that it only goes up to 38 millimeters or 1.5 inches with the length of the nail, whereas say the 16 gauge in the background goes up to 64 mil or 2.5 inches. But I'm fine with that because basically if I want a really long nail I will use the 16 gauge because it just has that little bit extra meat to the nail, whereas the 18 gauge ones, I find the long ones all the time, if I use 50 mil nails they shoot off in all directions a lot of the time because I'm used to using this one, which is an absolute monster when compared to the Milwaukee. Look at that, these are both 18 gauge nailers. Now the Hitachi does go up to 50 millimeters or 2 inches, but it's huge and it's big and heavy, and yeah, that much nicer for just doing small nails. And anything bigger, like I say, I'll jump up to the 16 gauge, which I think is still smaller and lighter than that Hitachi slash Hikoki slash Metabo HPT slash my wrists. So this is a cool little nailer, and I've been looking forward to it for nearly a year now. I've been harassing Milwaukee saying, when's it coming, when's it coming, when's it coming? And the date just kept getting pushed back and pushed back, but Milwaukee finally sent me one to have a play with, show you guys. So here it is, and I think it's a cool little tool. Hopefully it lasts a decent length of time. One thing I haven't told you is the model number. In this part of the world, the M12 FCN18GS. In the US, it'll be this number that's on the screen over here. And if you are interested in buying one, then, oh, I've got it dirty already, look, doesn't take long. If you're interested in buying one, or you want a bit more information, take a look down in the description. If there's anything I've found, I'll stick some links down there. There'll also be links to some of these other M12 tools in the background here that I've reviewed recently. This one I reviewed last week. There's about 10 or so probably down there in the description, so take a look at those. And until next time, hopefully the world hasn't been blown up by nukes or anything. It seems to be a bit crazy at the moment, doesn't it? But yeah, I will see you next time on another one. So thanks for watching, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And there's Patreon down there as well if you want to check that out. I give stuff away on Patreon, give away tools all the time. So go down there, check that out. See you next time. Cheers guys, out of here. No, I promise I won't tell. I'm afraid you can't be trusted any longer. I promise I will never do it again. It's too late for that now. Oh, the humanity.